What's up guys, it's your boy Wolf and we are back with another 7 Deadly Sins Origins video. In the last video we talked about all kinds of methods of raising your team's power, making them stronger, raising your unit strength. Now after all those methods you might be thinking, well where should I start? What's the most important part to focus on? Well, so today we're going to talk about your character progression priorities. Which parts you should focus the most, which parts are the most important, which parts don't matter as much, or you can wait till later to focus on. Why is this important? You might be thinking, well, when it comes to character development, well, there's only three really obvious ones: masteries, your armor, and your weapons. Why is this important? Because what you choose to focus on is going to dictate what you choose to spend your keys on. And that is important because keys are a limited resource that you can only get a certain amount of every day. So you want to make sure that you're using your keys efficiently. And so in order to make sure that you are using your keys in the most efficient way possible while making your characters as strong as possible, we are going to talk about what you should focus on in the early game. And the number one most obvious one is your masteries. Especially in the early game, the main most important thing you want to focus on is leveling up your mastery nodes, unlocking all your sub nodes, unlocking the mastery trees to begin with as well. So if you haven't unlocked it at 30 to unlock all the different weapon trees, you want to make sure you're doing that, because these are going to give you so many raw stats, so many base stats, as well as percentage increases. It's not even funny. This is like the largest bulk of where your stats are coming from, to be honest, especially in the early game. So you want to make sure that you're doing these and focusing on this the most. Another reason why this is so important is because when you unlock your masteries, so when you get your tree from 0 to 30, and then when you finally max out one of your weapon trees, or each one eventually, you are also getting a potential point. And if you don't know what that is, a potential point is essentially a character dupe. You can get a total of 4 character dupes completely free just by doing your masteries, which is why you want to make sure that you're doing those, because you are amplifying your strength through 2 avenues by doing one thing. You're giving yourself a bunch of stats and you're picking up free character dupes at the same time. So using your keys on farming mastery materials is the most efficient thing that you can do, especially in the early game. Another thing you want to kind of make sure that you've done right from the get-go, and it kind of ties in with your masteries as well, is as soon as you've unlocked your masteries at from 0 to 30, as soon as you've got it to 30, you want to make sure that you equip a weapon in every slot. When you get a character from the beginning, you'll see that 2 of the slots are always locked and you only get the first slot unlocked. You need to level it up to 0 out of 30 to unlock the last 2 weapon slots, and then you want to make sure that you put a weapon in those slots even if you're not using them. Why is this important? Weapons not in use provide 30% of their attack. You don't have to level it up in the early game, but any amount of attack stat that you can get from any source is always going to be an improvement to what you already have. So you want to make sure that you're unlocking these slots and you're putting a weapon in those slots to boost your attack. Beyond that, enhancing a weapon in the early game isn't the biggest thing. You can actually probably get through a large portion of the early game story without enhancing your weapon at all. Only start enhancing your weapon when you start hitting a wall where you feel like you need more damage. We touched upon this in the last video, so I'm not going to go into too many details about that. As you can see here, I've only focused on my dual swords, which is what I'm using on my Meliodas at the moment. I've just crafted my SSR weapon yesterday. I've already pushed it all up to level 50. I've equipped a longsword and an axe in these slots, but I haven't really pushed them too much. I took that to level 20, but that was already because I had used it on Diane, I think, initially. And then I've got a longsword up to level 10 as well. Push them just a bit, just to get the attack stat. After that, enhancing your weapons, after you've maxed out the main weapon you're using, enhancing these, it kind of comes down to your choice of what do you want to do. Do you want to juice up this one character as much as you can, get as much attack stat on them as you can, or do you want to maybe beef up at least one weapon that you're using on a different unit? It kind of comes down to choice. At the moment, I haven't started enhancing my Diane's gauntlets, which is what I'm using on her. She is the character I use to activate an elemental burst before I switch to Meliodas, but I have started picking up her masteries. Now that Meliodas' masteries are more or less done, I've picked up every main node. I just need to unlock this last one. I'm working on picking up the sub nodes now on these 2 trees. So as you can see here on the Well, that's a weird glitch if I've ever seen one. There we go. And now you can see your subnodes. So as you can see here, I've started picking up my subnodes on my other trees. I've picked up all the subnodes on 1 and 2 for the longsword and the axe. I'm working on getting them for the third and fourth nodes, trying to max these out so that I can get those last 2 extra free dupe points, which should take my Meliodas up to 6 out of 10. And then if I'm lucky enough to pull one more copy of him, I will probably stop here on 7 out of 10. But that is why masteries are important. That is what I'm doing. And now that I'm slowly working on that, I've started making sure that I can also just max out my Diane's gauntlets, because this is the one weapon I am using on her the most. I'm kind of ignoring these two for now. I upgraded them a bit early on because I got Diane in my reroll. She's the unit I used until I got Melee as my main DPS. I kind of ignored her masteries after I got Meliodas, but now that my Meliodas is kind of getting towards his fully maxed out point, I'm slowly using any excess materials and any extra keys that I maybe don't need to use on Meliodas on Diane. The next place that is important to look at, and this is probably the most important after your masteries, because like I said, with weapons, the enhancement isn't as important as making sure that you have a weapon in every slot and only enhance your main weapon as and when you need it. It is resource heavy. But the next one you want to make sure that you're paying attention to is your equipment. You want to make sure that every unit on your team has equipment in every slot and they are wearing the best equipment they can. You want to make sure you put the best equipment on your main carry, and then you want to work your way down in terms of priority in your team and give them the best equipment from what you have left. Why is this important? Your equipment is what translates directly to your team's survivability, because the main stats on your equipment are giving you HP and defense. The only one that gives you attack is your ring, which is nice, but overall your equipment is translating to survivability for you. It's where the majority of your HP and defense stat comes from. So you want to make sure that you're equipping as much of this as possible, because all 4 of your units contribute to your health bar. Each line is basically you're contributing, all of them, all their HP stats contribute to your total health bar. Your health bar is a sum total of all 4 units' health. So you want to make sure that you're equipping your equipment. The other reason why equipping by farming and equipping your equipment is important is because eventually you want to work towards getting your engraved equipment. Now, what is engraved equipment and how do we get this? Well, if we go to Leonis really quickly, and then we go to the engraving person, which is just to the north of that warp point, and you talk to her, you'll see that you can trade in pieces of equipment, seal, and one of these enhanced metals that you can make by crafting to get your engraved equipment. And the reason why engraved equipment is so good is because you'll see that when you place engraved equipment on your unit, they give you more HP and defense than what you would get by wearing the 4 pieces they replace. So this is giving me 15,000 HP and 5,300 defense. But if we look at another example of another unit that has 4 legendary pieces instead of engraved, I'm only getting a total of 1,500 plus 2. That's like 4,000 defense and about 10,000 HP. So 4,000 defense, 10,000 HP. Well, here I'm getting 15,000 HP and 5,300 defense. On top of that, I'm getting additional stats. I'm getting 1,100 darkness attack. I've got 7% cooldown reduction, and you get your engraving bonuses, as well as a bonus skill that is specific to that character. That's why engraved equipment is so good to have, and it's something you want to work towards in the end game after you've got good, decent enough gear on all your units. You want to start working on eventually farming your gear. Now, the nice thing about farming gear is you can do a lot of it at the same time as farming some of your other stuff. Your masteries, you're mostly going to be farming in the early game, and you're mostly going to be getting them from things like these elite bosses, like the Spirit of Beautiful Melody, Screamer, these are the things you want to be farming for your masteries. You're also going to be farming things like the red demon, because you'll need a bunch of these tokens to unlock your mastery nodes. You'll need a bunch of these stones as well to unlock your masteries. But you're also going to be farming these anyway because you want these to craft your weapons, you want these to level up masteries, you want these to craft your weapons as well, you need these to enhance your weapons. But your gear is going to be coming from your boss challenges and dungeons. You're going to be farming these, and you want to be doing these anyway because this is where you're going to get a lot of your tier up stones for your weapons. You're going to get a bunch of mastery XP. You're going to get your magic beads, which is for enchanting your weapons. You're also going to get a ton of gold. And gold is going to be a small bottleneck, not a major one, but it's going to be a small bottleneck towards the end game. The other thing you're going to get from these dungeons is your blueprint fragments. These are important because these take quite a while to farm, and you only have a chance of getting like each one, which the most important one you're going to want is the weapon crafting one, but you only have a third of a chance to get it because you could also get the armor and accessories. So everything that you farm with keys, you're probably getting more than one thing from them that's useful and has value to you. But you want to make sure that you're focusing it in the right order. So early game, you're focusing on doing your elite battles around the map, doing the small field bosses, world bosses, so that you can get your mastery materials. Once you've got to a point where your masteries are maxed or close to getting maxed, and now you need to start worrying about survivability, you want to start doing your boss dungeons, your boss challenges, farming for that gear, upgrading your gear small bit by bit, and maybe slowly working towards getting your engraved equipment. And make sure that you're equipping a weapon in every slot, enhancing your main weapon if you need to, if you need the damage. That is how you're going to make your character as strong as possible. My Meliodas now is at 15,000 attack. I've got my engraved equipment on him. It could be better. It's not the worst. I could still try and farm for legendary versions of my necklace and earrings. My weapons, obviously, I've done a lot of work on the dual swords. I finally maxed out this. Level 50. I've got enchantment with 4 lines on it, maxed out crit chance, max cooldown reduction, and it's got tag skill damage and normal attack damage. Next, I probably want to work on these weapons as well. I'm slowly working my way towards crafting the exclusive longsword that is Meliodas's. If you don't know, if you go to your crafting table, go to the weapons, at the very bottom, there is a special longsword with a different name to all the other SSR weapons, and you need to get the SSR blueprint from the shop for this. So it costs 10 of these star trace things, which you get by pulling dupes of SR characters and SSR characters, or not just dupes, but every time you pull them for the first time as well, you'll get a bunch of these. And you want to use 10 of these to get this weapon crafting blueprint, because that is what's going to enable you to craft this longsword, which is specific. It's going to give you a good amount of attack and darkness attack. It is specifically basically designed for Meliodas's longsword build. So I'm working towards getting that next, and then I will slowly work on either getting Meliodas's axe or Diane's gauntlets. It depends on what I feel I need by the time Meliodas's longsword is done. But in a nutshell, that, guys, is the order of what you want to focus on and prioritize when you're upgrading your characters. Mastery is number 1, equipment number 2, and weapons are kind of in the background. Make sure you've got them there and enhance them as and when you need to. That should give you an idea of the most efficient usage of your keys as well. Make sure that when you're using your keys, prioritize the main weapon that you're using above everything else and pick up all these nodes. One recommendation that I would make, something that I did, is I prioritized picking up the attack stat sub node on every single one of these before I focused on trying to pick up things like the crit defense and stuff. So over here you can see this is crit damage and crit defense. I left that till last. I probably would leave that for a while still because you need the stones as well. I'm probably going to focus first on trying to come here and pick up the attack stat, because your attack and HP stats and your flat defense are probably the most important stats you can pick up. So I'll probably go here next, get the attack here, come here and get the HP and crit damage, and then I'll probably come back and finish this off before I finish off the last 2 nodes. So prioritize your keys, be smart about the order in which you do things, Hopefully that helps you guys. Hopefully this is going to teach you how to make your character stronger, what to focus on, help you prioritize your key usage. That's it from me for today. Hopefully this helped. If it did, let me know down in the comments below. If it didn't, let me know why. Let me know what I could do better. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Every bit of support I can get right now helps. That's it from me. Peace out.